So, this is a completely new workshop that I am really thrilled to bring to you guys today. It's called Writing Saved My Life, literally. Okay, so today's big question that we're going to try to answer is, can discovering your passion lead to a life of freedom and joy? And incidentally, I am living proof that it can. And I know I am one of many, right? There are so many amazing people we know that have had starts in life similar to this. But this is a true story. 9 years ago, I escaped a real life cult. And when you hear the word cult, you think long dresses, curfews, sadly, abuse. That was my everyday life for 21 years of my life. And in 2012, I picked up everything and I got out in the middle of the night. This was my father's house. He led the cult, he led the church. So I escaped in the middle of the night because I had a lifeline of my writing income that I had built. And I kind of did that at night. It was my side hustle when everybody was sleeping. I was able to still have internet in this cult. It was the only thing I had. And I am so thankful I did because I'm here today, which is just amazing, right? And I want my story to inspire you to think big. I think a lot of us, we don't think as big as we could. Like, what is it you could be doing? How are you reaching your fulfillment today? So it's amazing to look back. And since that day I escaped almost 10 years ago, this is what I've been able to do. We've served almost 5,000 people. I have 5 books out. We have over 100 people at Express Writers. So crazy. I want you to dream big because this is my story. I am a new person from the person that escaped a cult 9 years ago. And if you want that full story, I launched a book in 2020, Woman Rising, a True Story. It's on Amazon and Audible. This project was one of the toughest projects I've ever done, but it was also one of the most rewarding. So if you want a book that will turn the pages and read like a Netflix story, this is that book. You can read it in a weekend. But back to the topic. So as you can already see, writing literally saved my life. It was my lifeline. So it was my lifeline in 2 different ways. First, it was my alternate pathway to escape the reality I was living in as a kid. It was a very difficult reality. It was a reality I didn't want to be born into. I didn't ask for that, but that was my life. That was my present day back then. So I took that alternate reality, the reading, writing, right? That was how I lived. And then I combined that with my passion for the internet. I had this interest and passion for the internet. And I took that, combined it, and I learned how to build my own self-sufficient income stream. I did that in 2011, started with a Google search, how to make money writing. And it took me here today. So this was how I was literally able to escape this cult that I knew my whole life at 21 years old in the middle of the night. So I found freelance writing back in 2011. I started a freelance profile. I applied to gig after gig. I taught myself everything. It was a lot of labor at the beginning, and that was how I honed my skill. And interestingly enough, I was actually able to support my older sister's escape from the cult as well. Those were the days, let me tell you, back in 2012. I can't imagine being there. I'm so thankful to be out here in normal life. Simple things, right? Simple things. So by the time I left in 2012, I was earning over $2,000 a month from my writing clients. Today, that's maybe a so-so income, right? Back then, let me tell you, when I was 19 years old and escaping a cult, it was amazing. I actually grew up on $400 a month. My parents were below poverty level. When you lead a cult, poverty mindset ties in. So unfortunately, that was how my dad lived. So this was amazing for me to have built by myself, and it got me out of that horrific environment. So this is really what it looks like to walk in your gifts and your passion. You're doing something you love. You labor, you get good at it, and then everything grows, kind of like a tree, right? Everything continues to bear new fruit. So your passion, it can be as dramatic as saving your life too, or it can be a little simpler. It can be building your best life. So this comes down to finding what you're good at, what you love doing, and then getting really good at it. The synonym for that is great. You want to get great at it. So my 4 L's to do this, a very simple pathway I've built over the years. This is actually in my new book that came out this February called Skip the Degree, Save the Tuition. It is geared to new graduates because I want to help them see that there is an alternate pathway, but it's also for career dropouts, adults looking for that alternate pathway. I didn't go to college to learn what I did. In fact, I dropped out of college. My parents wanted me to get a degree in nursing. Not at all what I love doing. So this is how I did it. I figured out what I love doing, right? That's your first step. What do you love doing? Then you labor. Then you learn. That's number 2. The third part is labor. After you learn all you can about it, you just have to get your hands dirty. You have to do the work. And then it's time to level up. You can get paid more and you can do more. And that can look like 2 paths. Really, I was talking to someone today earlier that I'm about to mentor, and she's building her team. I said, that is hard. Building a team is very hard. It's actually easier to be a solopreneur, which I recommend if you don't want the stress. So it doesn't always have to look like growing a team. It can be getting paid well for what you do and taking on more work. So we went through those 4 L's, but this is that very simple pathway. Just what is it that you love doing? Learn all you can about it. Don't go to a traditional classroom. Go to real life practitioners. Learn from them. And then roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. And then do more and charge more. Best part, right? So a simple way to figure out what you love doing, ask yourself, what did you enjoy the most back in grade or high school? All right, so we all had different interests. For me, it was always reading and writing. I built my vocabulary. I was reading crazy amounts of books. I mean, living in, a cult definitely drove me towards that. It drove me to seek out my passion because my passion was my lifeline. But I bet you didn't grow up in a cult. I mean, some of you may have, I don't know. But if you didn't, you still may have an idea of what you really enjoyed back in school. Ask yourself that. What was it? I have a friend who went through all of high school. The only class she enjoyed was this random accounting class. And her brand, she's an accountant. She has her own brand. She's making tons of money. She's doing what she loves. So that one little class helped her spark her passion. So think back to that. It's very clear what we hated, I think, right? Like I was terrible at math. So that can also kind of help you point back to what you can do or not do. You can know what to avoid. So let's say you always love to write. I know so many people, this is where they start. They're like, I loved to write when I was in high school. What's really cool today, 2021, and even going forward, are the possibilities that come from this one very simple passion. So I have built an income stream that today has made over $5 million from writing. The majority of that money did not go to me. It was paid out to the people in our team, which is amazing. I think it's, very rewarding to be able to provide jobs and hire talented people. So this is the timeline of how I did it. And as we were saying at the beginning, if you're on a mobile screen, quick word to the wise, you can download this at contenthacker.com/passion worksheet, all one word. That way you don't have to squint if you're not on a desktop. But here is the timeline. So this one looks linear, but I'm going to show you something a little different in a minute. But what's important here is that everything was natural, right? I really don't believe in forcing anything. I think that whenever you try to take on something you're not ready for, you try to force yourself to do something you don't really want to do, but maybe it looks like more money, maybe it's enticing. It's not going to be the best route. So I really want to encourage you, once you follow your passion, that path does not look linear. It can look extremely varied. So you can see here in 2011, everything started with that Google search. And then I just kept going. And that's another very important part of this, is that once you find your passion, you have to keep going. It can be so tempting to throw in the towel. You can get negative feedback. You can hear some real, You can get some real life wake up calls from people that have to use your work if you're getting paid. Sometimes that was how I grew, getting those real life calls back from my early clients. Your work is crap, Julia. You need to improve. So along the way, it is hard, right? We get many challenging things thrown at us. The important part is to keep going. And I can tell you, even in 2020, we lost 40% of our income. I was not sure Express Writers was going to make it. There's a month where I was in tears. It was terrible. So we still face troubles. The good news is we kept going and we rebuilt all of that income and then some. So that's what happens when you keep going. But look at this. This is the non-linear pathway of everything else that kind of sprouted from following that path of building this business. So as I built my agency, I heard, all the pain points. Well, how do you do this? Well, I don't really think there's a book on the market. There's no one course that teaches this. Can you teach me it? Whenever I started getting that question, which was about 6 years after I started, I was like, okay, I'm going to write a book. And my first book came out, So You Think You Can Write, The Beginner's Guide to Online Writing, which I just updated actually this year, a couple months ago. So that was not a forced thing, right? Going back to don't push yourself to do something that's not going to be natural, that doesn't naturally stem from your passion and this pathway of love, learn, labor, level up. So, if leveling up comes before learning, well, that's not authentic. So all of these things need to happen in order naturally. And it can be very simple, actually, to just keep your ears to the ground. Look for pain points if you lead a business, if you work in a position where you're leading a business. Keep your ear to the ground, look at pain points and think about how you can solve them. And we have people in my agency that work with me. They tell me what the client pain points are, and they help me build solutions. So you don't have to build everything. You don't have to do everything like I did, which is a little, it's daunting. It can be overwhelming to do it all yourself. You don't have to go that route, but this is to open up your mind to the possibilities, whether you're partnering with someone or you're doing it yourself. So the first business, right, in 10 years, about 9 years, actually, we did 5 million in sales. And then in just 3 years, my second business has done over 300,000. And of course, my second business was born after I basically needed a domain name to keep all my stuff at. That's what I told my husband when we were doing it. I was like, I need a domain name for all my stuff. So that's how that business came to be. And those are my books, my courses, the things I'm teaching. So in short, to make your passion make money, you need to map it to a skill set that is marketable. And then you need to get paid. It's that simple. So I want to introduce you to a term that I love. It's recently come on the market. I don't think it's more than a couple years old. And it's called content entrepreneur. So we're living in the age of this type of entrepreneur. And you might be asking yourself, well, who is this? So Joe Pulizzi at The Tilt, he sold his first business, Content Marketing Institute, for something like 30 million a few years ago. And then he's started The Tilt, which focuses on highlighting content entrepreneurs. So these are people that create content to build a successful business. It may start out as a hobby, and then it diversifies and it grows revenue. So before I show you some people that have done this successfully, not just myself, I'm going to show you a bunch of different varieties. You're going to get to learn about fitness, all kinds of categories, foodie, not just entrepreneurship. So how do these people make money? We'll talk about that. But first, let us shatter some myths, the fun part, right? So don't confuse content entrepreneur with overnight YouTube star. I have it on insider information from people that are YouTube influencers. It is harder than ever actually to become a YouTube influencer. My goal was to focus on YouTube, and I've actually taken a step back this year because YouTube is dialing down what they pay their creators. So YouTube is not really what we mean. You can still do it. I'm not saying you can't, but this is difficult. So is this one. Becoming an Instagram influencer. I hate to say it, but likes do not pay the bills. And so many people that are engulfed in social media or in that world. They're still stuck in how do I get the most likes? When really it's how do I get revenue? How do I get a consistent stream of revenue? That's the question you want to ask yourself, right? I think we all want the money, not just the likes. So remember that likes, shares, none of that pays the bills. It's a revenue stream that does. So don't get distracted. Before we go into examples, I also want to show you this. LinkedIn just launched a look at the most high demand skills right now in marketing. This just came out. So it's really interesting. The top skills to learn are like press release writing. I wouldn't have guessed. That's number one. And then it's HTML. And over at the Content Hacker, we have a press release writing workshop. So you can learn that skill inside of an hour. And then the fastest growing skills, Instagram, which makes a lot of sense. Instagram is very hot right now. It's a great place to connect with your audience and go far. And then content marketing is the second fastest growing skill, which I personally love because that is what I do. And it's crazy because content strategy itself is only 10 years old. So it's a fairly new industry, but it is one of the 3 fastest growing skills. And then creative problem solving, which I can tell you, just having 100 people in my team, that is a huge asset. If you know how to solve problems yourself, you can do it creatively. You are such an asset because then we don't have to solve as many problems. We already deal with so many problems. The team leaders, right? So that is a very valuable skill. So if you work for someone, this is valuable knowledge to have. If you're in social media, your social media marketing is any part of your job, content marketing, learn and build that skill, and creative problem solving. And of course, all of those right there, the top fastest growing skills. Okay, so in short, content entrepreneurs, they build content skills and they make money from those skills. So the content marketing industry itself is so hot. It is going to hit $600 billion in spend in 2024. There's going to be so many jobs. I can tell you that as of the last 12 months, this industry was supposed to hit 400 billion and it did, and then some. So this is a great place to be in, whatever it is that you do, whether you work for someone or you build your own brand. So these are some pay rates. If you're thinking about getting into it and you're looking for a salaried position, whether it's web design, copywriting, content marketing, businesses all the time are looking for employees. These are employee positions and contractors. Now, I hire contractors. I really enjoy having fixed projects, and you can take as much or as little as you want instead of salary, which comes with a lot more paperwork and W-2 and all that stuff. So contractors is also another great way to go, especially if you like, for example, you want to take a month off. You can do that much more easily as a contractor. Just pause your clients, right? Come back to them. But the pay rates right now are excellent in this industry. If you're thinking about getting into it, if you're not in it yet, or if you're looking at perhaps a job upgrade or moving into this field. So what do you need to build the content skills that are marketable, that people are willing to pay for? You need 2 things, the right skills and the right mindset. So these 2 things put together really make a whole, well-rounded person, a person that has marketable skills. So it's not just the marketable skills that you need, although that's a huge part, right? You can't do it unless you have knowledge. And knowledge comes by building that skill. But you also need a mindset that is growth focused, and we'll talk about that. So first, let's talk about the skills of income earning content creators. So we're going to look at a few different content creators that are earning anywhere on the board from 15,000 a month all the way to that 6-figure month. So one of my favorite people in content, he has the most incredible story, is John Morrow. He runs smartblogger.com. So, I escaped a cult. Well, John Morrow, when he was born, the doctors told his mom he would not live more than 2 years. And his mom said, I will prove you wrong. And John was born with a fighting spirit, and he lived. And then he built this incredible business and reaches millions of people on a regular basis. What I love the most about John is that he has written some of the most read content in the world. And he built this skill. This was not something he guessed. This was not something he just, did on the side. This was a skill he worked very hard to build. So he interned, or I think he just worked for very low pay back in 2011 for copy blogger Brian Clark, one of the industry leaders. He had the opportunity to work under him. So his job was to look at all the blogs and to pick the best ones. He actually had to read thousands, and he got really good at looking for good content. He also had to test hundreds of headlines and pick the one that worked. So this was how he honed his skill. He didn't just become the most read blogger in the world. He really fine-tuned that skill. So how could you apply this knowledge, right? This inspirational person that has done this. So again, it's all about that. You find out what you love, you learn all you can about it, you labor, and you level up. So first, you want to pick up the skill. Once you know it is what you love, once you know, like, writing is what I love, right? I want to write. How do I do that? So you pick up a real practitioner skill. You get under a mentor, you study under them, and then you just get your hands dirty. You got to start doing it, even if the work is really terribly tiring at the beginning, right? The feedback may not be the best because you're not there yet. But that's how you do it. There is no shortcut. And it's crazy. We have so many people that apply to write at Express Writers. We have some amazing writers. And we get candidates on a daily basis. And so many of them, unfortunately, don't make it. And whenever I talk to a few of them, we don't have human capacity to answer all of them. But whenever I do talk to some of them, I tell them the skill is not there yet. And it is so simple, guys, to enroll in a course, build your skill, and level up. Like that pathway today, we didn't have that in the 90s, in the 80s. We have that today. I tell writers all the time, go take my SEO writing course, and it's going to automatically get you in because you're going to build the skill. Not that we're trying to make money off of them, but you can build that skill and literally walk away and have it built. And that's what I teach over at The Content Hacker. One of my courses is an SEO writing course at SEOwritingcourse.com. A few of you listening may already be in that course. But it is so simple to learn a digital skill and get it down because of all the practitioners you can study under today. It's just amazing that we live in that age. So, like I said, I'm going to show you different people from different niches. Here's a person, your typical mommy blogger, right? She's actually profitable. Look at this. She's earning almost $200,000 a year. How is she earning that? She's selling ebooks. She's taking payment for people to publish on her blog. And then she's getting Google ads on her site. Those clicks equal money. And then she'll sell a $49 meal plan. Brilliant. Right? And if you're in my courses, you know that I teach the idea of a content house. You have to have your brand. You have to have your own brand. All of these people that we're talking about, they do, right? They've invested in their domain. They've invested in that image, putting themselves in front of people. That's hard. That is hard. So this amazing blogger has done that, and she's making great income. I mean, especially if it's just something on the side, which she does, what an amazing income stream. And of course, you have to practice what you preach. I don't think I should be giving this talk if I didn't. But, at the beginning, I was getting paid anywhere from $5 to $10 an article. Now I get paid anywhere from over $200 if I was to sit down and write for an actual client. How did I do this? I learned and honed that skill. But also, something very simple that I personally did in my journey, I kept my ear to the ground. I run an agency, right? I'm in a position where I can listen for pain points and then solve them through digital products. And that was how I built a second income stream. So here's a foodie blogger, Jamie Silva. Her story is actually amazing. If you go look it up, she had multiple ventures that were not successful. And then one day she was like, I really This is what she enjoyed. She enjoyed to put together tasty meals. She was like, I'm just going to take pictures and do a blog. And she did not expect it would make money. She did not expect. And it was the one successful thing that she tried out of all the ventures. And it was the thing she least expected would make money. And she was actually able to quit a full-time job. She's making 100,000 a year. 63,000 of that was from advertising income. So this is what you can do if you follow your passion. You could start a blog, create your own brand, take it far. Take it far. Follow that natural, non-linear journey is what I was trying to say. Here's someone else that I really enjoy following. I followed her for years now, Michelle Gardner. She had her start also around the same time as me, 2011, 2012, and her business makes over 100,000 a month, makingsenseofsense.com. So she quit Wall Street. The pressure and the stress was terrible. It was the job everyone pushed her to do. Her family, right? She has Asian heritage. Her family was focused on getting her to do that. And she was very successful. She had a very intelligent mind. She was good at it, but it was terrible. The pressure, the stress. So she quit Wall Street and then she started a blog just to talk about how she was going to pay off her student debt. Little did she know that it was going to turn into a blog that today has over 300,000 monthly readers. So she's making money through sponsorships, affiliate partnerships, and then of course her own courses, which, we hear all the time. I don't know about you, but I hear all the time, don't do low ticket. I completely disagree. Do low ticket courses. They are the ones people can't afford. That's what she does. And that definitely increases her revenue. So I hope those stories inspired you that you can take your passion and you can turn it into a great living, whatever that looks like. And I thought this was important to add. I hope you like my emojis. I am not here to crap on the employer life. I know many entrepreneurs that give talks like these. They'd say, you got to hustle. You got to get out of the 9 to 5. That's not all what I'm here to say. I think if you work for someone that you love, you should keep doing it because that could be your fulfillment. That could be how you end up making great money and have fulfillment, not get burned out and enjoy what you're doing. Of course, that job can come with burnout too, right? Because sometimes we take on so much. We do so much for our companies. So that is the risk there too. Same risk. But you can really do either and still have fulfillment. You don't have to break away and do just the entrepreneurial life. So the point is to find your passion, capitalize on it, and build a profitable skill set. Taking a course, getting a mentor, this is your shortest path to get there. You can do the trial and error thing, but you will likely be stuck there for years. And then you just got to get your hands dirty, pick a job, start working. It doesn't matter. Sometimes the pay could be low. It could be an internship, but if that's how you start, right? That is how to get going. That's how you can build that experience. So if you're already here, you're like, well, Julia, I'm in a job already that I really like. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to break away and find my passion. I already know my passion. Here are some ideas for how to level up and get paid more and do more along the way. So one thing you could do is think about taking on a new challenge every quarter. Don't push yourself to do more than that because you could burn out. And that's not our goal. Our goal is to find our passion, chase it, right? Live that rich life. But if you find a new challenge that you enjoy, it could lead to other opportunities. So let's say you're that entrepreneur. Why don't you try launching a course? Think about a pain point you've been asked about all the freaking time. I am sure you know them. How could you build a course that solves that pain point? And it could be something simple. It doesn't have to be this extravagant 7-week program for $20,000. It can be a low ticket 1-hour course that people really need. So if you work for a company, you could ask your boss, you could ask the people you work with, what are some projects they need help with? Is there anything else they need help with? And then if they do, you could take up one of those tasks, and time and brain space permitting, every quarter, don't push yourself to do too much. That's when life is not fun. But that's a great way to learn a new skill. If you can work under a practitioner, if you have a boss, a manager that is that practitioner. Okay, so a reminder again before we go into mindset that we do have this worksheet, contenthacker.com/passion worksheet. If you haven't grabbed it, that is a great recap of today's talk with a lot of data that you can kind of just download, marinate on, let your brain, let it all sink in. So grab that worksheet definitely before you leave this talk. Okay, let's talk about mindset. So we talked about earlier that it really takes two things, right? Skills and mindset. You cannot have one without the other if you really want to go all the way to the top. So the mindset of income earning creators is really this. It's a growth mindset. There's a book I read to my kid, and it's funny. We read it when she was 1.5 years old, and it's called Bubblegum Brain. And it talks about brick brain versus a bubblegum brain. And it's the idea that your brain is stretchy, it's moldable, your brain can change, it can adapt, it can take on challenges. And it's all up to you, right? It's all in your head. So there's a Stanford psychologist I really like, Carol Dweck, that says when we have a growth mindset, we believe that our creative abilities, our intelligence, and our character are things we can improve on in meaningful ways. We can always learn and get better at what we do. I can tell you when we encounter a person like this, especially in our agency, it is beautiful because the abilities they have to take feedback, learn, instead of, we've had a lot of people that receive feedback from our intelligent expert editors and they will leave, they will exit. That is how quickly they run away. That is not the response to have. The response to have is to be open to it. Of course, don't take derogatory language, speak up for yourself. Not saying that, but have that growth mindset, be open to change. So I'm going to hit you with some inspirational quotes because I like them. I hope you like them. They help me keep going and they're very inspirational. So Dale Carnegie says, most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed no hope at all. Samuel Johnson says, great works are performed not by strength, but by perseverance. Albert Einstein, anyone who has never made a mistake has never tried anything new. Walt Disney, it's kind of fun to do the impossible. So picking yourself up after failure and moving forward, it's the only way to go. It's the only mindset to have because that mindset truly helps you succeed. So here's a couple points on how to have this mindset. Think about, being open to critique, which equals growth. Instead of, this is hard to hear, it ruined my day. This is how I can grow. This is how I can move forward. Whenever you fail, be open to failing, as crazy as that sounds, because that means you will be open to trying new things and then moving forward, which means going up, right? The only place you can go from the bottom is up. That is the good part about failure. Multiple attempts. Be ready to try again. It's not going to happen in one go. And then be ready to also work hard. So mindset is not just telling your brain, hey, brain, get with it. Be open to feedback, all right? Have this growth mindset. It's not that. It's also about mindfulness and habits, a setting, the place you work, the place you choose, the place you set up, because a lot of us are working from home, which is amazing, right? We can create our own setting. All of that protects your mental health because let me tell you, burnout is a real problem. There was a study done by Joe Polizzi, thetilt.com. Definitely subscribe to that. It's an amazing newsletter that he publishes every week over at The Tilt. And he did this original research and he found out that almost 70% of creators experience burnout. And that was a 2021 study. So you are not alone. It happens. Burnout is a real problem. So fun fact, I am a natural pessimist. I don't see the glass half full. I see it half empty. I used to call that being a realist, but when I realized that you have to be an optimist, right? You have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, everything you can create may crumble to the ground. You could walk away because you're such a pessimist and you're so frustrated, right? So you have to keep going. How do you cultivate that? That is a mindset you have to cultivate. And for me today, it took me 7 years to actually get serious about my morning routine. But for the last year, I've done this morning routine every single morning. In fact, now I do it on the weekends because it's that important to me. I believe this morning routine is behind 70%, if not more, of my daily success. Here's what that routine looks like. Here's exactly what it looks like. So, no, I don't start at 5 a.m. I start a much healthier hour in the day, around 8 or 9 a.m., actually, and later on the weekends. So 40% of this hour is exercise. It's me on the yoga mat doing what I enjoy to do, stretching, doing some push-ups, following a yoga routine. And then the other 60% of that hour is mindfulness and grounding techniques. And these four are the very specific techniques that I actually do. So the first one, I choose 3 things to be thankful for. And what this does is it really changes your brain to go from, you know, being down for whatever the day brings you, which is not always good because the day could be bad, right? And then that could affect your mindset. But if you start your day with gratitude, it really changes how you think because then you walk away from this hour, you walk away from this time thinking positively. You're already grateful. And that sets an incredible standard for your day. I do this on the days that are going terrible. I'm thankful just to wake up, to see the sun. And that's where I start if I have to. The next thing I do is I specifically pray over our team, our clients. I used to pray for myself. And whenever I switch to thinking about the success of other people, let me tell you, there was a big shift. It was crazy. We actually saw more revenue start to happen. We saw clients that were like, we can't keep up with the work coming in. So I believe in visualization, meditation, prayer, the power of that. And instead of thinking about yourself, think about the company you work for, the people you work with, the clients you serve. Pray for them. And I'm telling you, it all will flow back to you in a really big way. And then I give my mind something inspirational to read. That's the word for me. And then, of course, I end it with prayer. I just wrap up there. And this is in a quiet place. I am not interrupted. I'm usually outside. I'm on the deck. We have a little farm here in Texas. I'm outside by the chickens, but it's a very intentional time. And if this is completely new to you, I challenge you just to try it for a week. It doesn't have to look exactly like this. You can build your own routine, but I challenge you to pick things to be grateful for. Start your day with visualizing success. Do that for a few days, at least a week. I would recommend. See what happens. That's my challenge to you. See what happens. And I guarantee you it'll be an incredible week. Even, the first few days might be kind of hard. And I'll be real. Sometimes that exercise looks like 10 minutes because I am tired. I stayed up too late, but I get something in. That's the important part. You start here. You don't start with work. And your day will really improve. So I want to remind you that you are in control. Your day goes as well as your morning starts, and you are the person in control of that. Nobody else. Even if you have a million emails you got to get to, they are not in control. You are. So after 10 years of working at home full time, 5 books out, several businesses started, these are the 3 things I really believe you have to master in order to have a successful life, and not just success in the way of revenue, right? But success in the way of being the best version of you, which is just as important, if not more, because being the best version of you is really the best legacy you can leave behind. So these are those 3 keys: mindset, setting, and nutrition.